Say something. When you return to the real world, after someone close to you takes their life, nothing seems the same. You will have individuals give you the look. Others will go in opposite directions because it's almost as if you have a disease they think they can catch. You can't catch mental illness or suicide. Some will wonder how you're able to return to work and not sit around and cry. Honestly, my faith and my support systems kept me together. Week 1 after the funeral, your body still aches. It's almost as if your heart is on the outside of your chest, and everything that brushes up against your heart causes pain. You can't sleep a full night because the questions still haunt you, and your appetite is gone. Going through the motions of trying to get back to normal, but you realize it will never be the same again. You begin the process of creating a new normal without your loved one. Say something. Say something to explain. Say something to make sense. Simply say something. The silence. The silence is the voice that so many miss hearing too late. Events play out before loved ones, blind to the signs. They make sense after the loved one is gone. Then the tears fall. Death lingers in the air, knocking the breath out of you. Day 1, 10:15 a.m. The moments in time that put a pause in my life, no, changed it forever. The voice on the phone was frantic yet familiar. The body does not lie. The body does not lie. I knew that something was not right. The next 4 words punched the wind out of me and caused my medium-sized office to shrink. Your brother hung himself. I frantically felt the race of my heart. I asked Daddy, "Are you okay?" knowing he was not. He was alone because Mom had gone to the grocery store. It was her birthday. What happened? Who found him? What needs to be done? My body began to ache all over because I knew that things would never be the same again. My baby sister called. She was crying. Everything around me was falling apart and a mess. 10:30 a.m. I screamed. The assistant ran into my office and proceeded to call my supervisor. I finally found the strength to breathe and sit. Breathing kept me from passing out. People started to pour into my office, pouring out love and support. However, in their eyes, I saw the look. Although I had a lot of love and support in those first moments, I felt numb and suffocated. I picked up the pink cell phone and proceeded to call Daddy again. I thought to myself that I must keep it together and show no signs of breaking. Daddy needed me to be strong. He had lost his only son. When Daddy picked up the phone, he confirmed the truth. My brother was dead. I began to cry. I cried until I looked up and saw that people were looking at me. I stopped crying and I began to ask questions. I thought by asking questions it would help me regain control. My supervisor and staff were talking to me, but nothing seemed to register. I had checked out. empty, broken, crying. 10:30 p.m. After all the calls, texts, and people, nighttime comes. And your mind really starts to wander. Visions of him filled my head. Many times I went back to his Facebook page just to try to make sense of all of this. The first night, my body ached and it cried. I slept on damp sheets. Home is where your heart is, but going back there just didn't feel right. Sleep will not come easily, but it must come because you must go back. Throughout the night, you cry, hoping it would ease the ache in your body, crying out to God for sleep. You try to tell yourself that he had an illness, but that doesn't make the pain in your body go away. No book or class will help. You cry and you cry and you cry until sleep finally comes. Then the alarm rings. Time to go home. Day 2, 4:00 a.m. My body was heavy with restless sleep and grief. My legs felt like bricks and my arms hung low. When my face first hit the brisk morning air, my body engulfed the darkness. Riding to the airport with a stranger who talked my ear off, my autopilot self responded. Even now, I can't tell you what we talked about. Sitting in the back of the van, in the shadows of morning, tears fell down my face. Finally arriving at the gate and carrying the weight. When I arrived, I looked out the window and I saw the sun kiss the sky. And I wondered, was my brother in heaven looking down? Say something. 10:30 p.m. I called my nieces. Death has a way of putting things into perspective. They cried because they missed him and would never see him again. My heart ached because he would never walk them down the aisle or see their first child. The guilt. The guilt of not reaching out and fixing things between us consumed my soul. He was resting at the funeral home. And I had to wonder, did he know that I loved him? You see, I would have given anything for him to understand. I studied drama therapy and counseling and couldn't be patient with my own brother. I also started to wonder, what would happen if we treated people with physical illness the same way we do those with mental illness? How many lives would be lost? Would the physically ill just stop telling people? There is an insensitivity and stigma when it comes to mental illness. Afterwards, I learned that 1 in 4 are touched by a mental illness. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Day 4. Walking into the funeral home and viewing the body for the first time is surreal. They did an amazing job with him. He looked great, almost as if he was sleeping. To watch your parents grieve their child at any age is traumatic. Surrounding his lifeless body were pictures of him from another time. A symphony of sobs filled the air. There were those having a difficult time dealing with the situation. So I comforted them. That kept me from losing it. My supervisor was amazing and kind during this time. She wouldn't let anybody bother me. But honestly, I needed to work. I needed to do something to take my mind off of burying my brother. I needed to do something to deal with the tremendous amount of pain. Day 5, 6, and 7 are simply blurred together. To watch my daddy bury his emotions was unbearable. In 39 years, I had only seen my daddy cry a handful of times. And the times that he did cry overwhelms me. During the visitation, I helped other people. And I pretended my brother was asleep to protect myself. The day of the funeral, the director lined up the family and siblings by age. When I walked into the church, someone touched my hand to comfort me. The helper became the client. I lost it. Reality hit me hard. He was not sleeping. He would never wake up again. Sitting on the second row, slightly right, I saw my brother lying in the casket. The sound of the sheet and closing the casket for the last time is one I'll never forget. Say something. My brother killed himself. I know that's not easy to hear, but that is what happened. He was diagnosed with being bipolar while in the Army. During his last days, our family missed the signs. I pray that our story will help someone. When an individual takes his life, a community is impacted. His neighbor reached out to us wishing that she had said something. The week leading up to the funeral, many colleagues, friends, and community members shared with me the names of those they had lost to suicide. My brother was bipolar, but he was also a loving dad, son, brother, friend, and community member. His life and death impacted many. We cannot continue to hide mental illness. It is real like any other disease. We also cannot continue to bury suicide in families. I know that I may never get the answer of why, but I know that I cannot and I will not stay silent. I will stand up and say something. Day 362. October the 8th, 2016. Healing is revealing. The journey to healing is a process. There is no way around it. Hurt is real. I stand as a living testament that love never fails. I thank God for the gift of the arts because it has always been my vehicle to express my deepest love, pains, and triumphs. I'm also thankful for the gift of the stage because it has always given me a platform to lay down my burdens, be vulnerable, and say something. Please stand with me and say something. Because what you say just may be the key to life for someone.